Okay, everyone, so this is a very short video on how to use your calculator. So I just want to show you a couple features. And the first one is, because I get this quite a bit, people will think that they have to change their batteries. And so I want to show you the contrast key on your calculator. So when you turn your calculator on, I'm just going to type a couple numbers in there. If you hit the second button, and I'm going to point to that, in the up or down arrow, do you see in the middle of that, of the arrows that's dark at the top and light at the bottom? Sometimes people will turn on their calculator. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the second key and then the down arrow. And do you see how everything kind of disappears? It's because their contrast was low. And so sometimes people think they need a battery change when they don't. So I'm going to turn my contrast back up. So you just hit second and then the upward arrow, and then you can make it as dark or as light as you want. Okay, so that's the contrast button. So when people go, oh, I need new batteries, I'll always ask, did you check your contrast? Second thing I wanted to show you is how to enter in fractions into your calculator. So on the TI-84, to enter in fractions, you want to hit that green alpha key first. So you're going to hit the alpha key, and then you're going to hit the Y equals button. And there's your four options for your fractions. So the first one is just entering in an improper or proper fraction, like 9/5. And then this another one, if you want the decimal option of that, go back to your alpha Y equals. And then to go back and forth between the fraction and decimal option, that's option number 4. So I just hit enter and then enter again, and that the decimal option will appear. Okay, so those are two big ones. We're not going to be doing a lot with mixed numbers, but if you look at option number 2, there's your mixed number option, and then option 3 was to go back and forth between a mixed number and an improper fraction. All right, so when you get to questions like part B, try to enter those in as a fraction. So I'm going to go second Y equals, hit enter, and then I can enter in the 5 plus, and then the square root option is right there. Do you see where my pen is? It's in blue, so that means you have to hit the blue key first. So second square root of 64, and now I can use my downward arrow to get down into that denominator, and then you just hit enter. To raise things to powers, for example, the 48 to the negative 3/4, you want to hit that key right there. That's how you raise things to powers. Okay? So now I can enter in a negative fraction in there. So I'm going to put negative and then my fraction. So 3/4. Okay, so the two problems at the bottom, I would like you to round those to the nearest hundredth. They're not going to be pretty answers. So round those to the nearest hundredth. And then when you get to that one, just so that you're aware, here I'm just going to show you something. When you raise something to a when you raise something to a power, do you see how the cursor remains up with the power? So if I want to bring it back down to subtract the 4 times 6, you just have to hit that right arrow key to bring it back down, and then you're ready to go with any of the other keys. So just be wary that sometimes you might want to check your screen, because I get in that bad habit sometimes of plugging in, and it'll just keep continuing as the power, and I'll forget to bring the power down. I forget to bring that cursor out of the power. So when you're doing these two questions on the OWL, just make sure that you round to the nearest hundredth. That's 2 decimal places. All right. The other big thing I want you to learn is some of the graphing features on our calculator. And we're going to really hit this hard in class, so starting next week. So I want you to get really comfy with it. So to graph things on our calculator, we need 3 keys, and I have them arrowed here. We're going to use our Y equal key, our zoom key, and our graph key. So to enter in an equation, you want to hit the y equals. Now I have stuff in there, so I'm just going to clear those out. Use my arrows to clear out. Clears right there. And I'm going to enter in this equation, 2x plus 1. So to enter in the x, it's that key right there. Do you see if you want to enter in an x or a t or a theta or an n, that's right, that's the key, that's the all-encompassing key. So 2x plus 1. And then I want you to view this in what's called the standard window. So like we have pieces of graph paper where we usually go like this, and then we set the tick marks, right, when we make our graph. Well, we can do that with our calculator too. We can make our axes and set the tick marks. Now there's a standard window, and that's the standard window because it's kind of the window that we all make when we graph by hand. So to find that standard window, I want you to hit zoom. And then do you see it says zoom standard? Do you see zoom number 6? So I'm just going to hit zoom and then the number 6. You could arrow down and hit enter, but I just am going to hit the number 6. And there you can see your line being drawn. Now to know what that window is, I want you to hit the window key. So this window goes from -10 to 10 in the XY direction, and then they have this X scale is 1, and we'll talk about what that is. And then in the vertical direction, it goes from -10 to 10 again, with the Y scale of 1. So on my graph, there's 10 tick marks this direction, 10 tick marks this direction, and then 10 going up and down in either direction from the origin. Okay? So there's other standard windows. Now the other one I want you to look at is what's called z-square, and you can play with these on your own as well, but I want you to look at z-square because we're going to use that quite a bit when we graph circles. So if I hit zoom, and then do you see option number 5 is z-square? So I'm going to hit that. There's my line. And then I'm going to talk, let's see what's going on with the window. So when I hit the window, it looks like there's more tick marks now going to the left and right. Here, I'll just write a couple of these down. The X scale is still 1. And then the Y direction, there's -10 to 10. Now I'm going to tell you what the X scale is. That's what the tick marks are. Each tick mark is worth 1. So what does this zoom square do that now we have more tick marks going in the left to right direction? So if we look at our graph, do you see our window is longer this way than up and down? So technically, if the tick marks are each going to be worth 1, we would have more tick marks going left to right than up and down. And so what z-squared does, it will standardize the window so that the tick marks have the same value. Okay, and we'll get into that more too, but I just wanted to show you what these windows do. There's zoom decimal, like you can see what happens if I hit zoom 4. Oh, the tick marks, right? There's not many now. Look at that. So if you look at window tells you what they are. So now my X goes from about -5 to 5 and -3 to 3. So it really kind of zooms in on the graph a little bit, but it's much easier to see where that y-intercept is. The x-intercept is stuck between 0 and 1. So it's kind of nice. It zooms in a little bit around the origin. All right. You can change the windows yourself, which we're going to have to do a lot when we look at some of these practical applications. So I just wanted you to go into Window, and then you can type in the x's and y's. So maybe you want to look at the graph between -2 and 3 for x. and you wanted to look at the graph between -5 and 7 for y, right? I just wanted you to see that you can physically go in and change the screen that you look at your graph. Okay? So the x scales and the y scale, I just wanted to let you know those are your tick marks. The x scale and the y scale are the tick mark values. So you could actually change the tick marks to have them be worth 2 instead of 1. So you can see now, if I went from -5 to 7, so 2, 4, 6, and then that little halfway would be 7, 2, 4, down halfway to -5. Okay? All right, there's 2 more features left. The next one is your table feature. So you can use your table feature to generate points on a graph. So here's my graph, y equals 2x plus 1. So to tell the calculator, hey, I'm going to give you a bunch of values and I would like you to calculate the y value for the given x value, just make sure your table set option is set. So do you see it says up here is table set? If you hit the blue key first, make sure that it's going to ask you the independent, which is the input, and then automatically give you the output, which is the dependent. So you can arrow down and then just hit enter when the ask is highlighted for independent and hit enter when the auto is highlighted. So then when you go to your table, hopefully yours will be clean like that, and then you can automatically just put in your own values and the calculator will give you, so I'm hitting enter after each one, the calculator will give you the answers back, the y values out. So -9 when x is -5, -3 when x is -2, 7, 23, and 51. So what I want you to do now is go into your y equals and type in this equation, this nice looking quadratic. Okay, so you're going to go into your y equals and type in x squared. And actually, I'm going to bring it down. Minus 2x plus 15. And then go to your table. It's in blue, so you have to hit the blue key first. And then just on top of these, you can enter in these x values that you see. So when x is -3, y is 30. And if you put -3 wherever you see an x, you're going to get 30 out. -2 is 23. Okay? So just type right on top of these values and generate the rest of that list. All right, and then the very last thing is the intersect key on your calculator. So we're going to be solving a lot of equations in here. We're going to be doing them by hand, and we're going to be doing them with our calculator. So we're going to be using the intersect and the graphing key on our calculator to find solutions to an equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for these two, and then you can use these skills to solve for these three. Okay? So when you're given an equation, you need to put one side into y1 and the other side into y2 under your graphing feature. So hit your y equals, and then I'm going to clear that out, and then I'm going to put 5 minus x squared into y1, and then I'm going to arrow down, and I'm going to put 3 into y2. And then I always start off with zoom standard. So I'm going to hit zoom 6, and there's my graph. So I can see that there are 2 places where these intersect, right? There's 2 places where 5 minus x squared equals 3. So if in doubt, I always say when you're looking at your calculator and you want to find something off of your graph, you go to calc. Do you see it's in blue? If in doubt, go to calc, and then you'll see number 5 is intersect. So I'll hit 5, and then you hit 3 enters. 1, 2, 3. And there's one of my solutions. When x is 1.414, y is 3. Now there's another solution over here on the left that my calculator didn't tell me yet. So when you do that cycle, if in doubt, go to calc, and then you hit number 5 for intersect. You want to use your left arrow, so watch what happens to my cursor, to let the calculator know, hey, I want you to calculate that value on the left rather than the one on the right, and then 3 enters. 1, 2, 3. And here's my other x value. X equals negative 1.414. All right, let's try one more. So I have this absolute value symbol, and I'm going to put this into y1, and I'm going to put this into y2. All right, so to find the absolute value on your calculator, I'll show you that. So let's hit y equals, and I'm going to clear these 2 graphs out. I hit downward arrow and clear. To find the absolute value key, you want to hit that math option. Do you see it says math? You want to hit math, and then arrow over 1 arrow to num, and then you'll see ABS. It's absolute value. So hit enter, and now you can type in your equation. So 2, there's my x, plus 11. I'm going to downward arrow, and then my other side into y2, I'm going to put 5. And then it's already in zoom standard, but I'm just going to get in that practice. Zoom 6, and there's my graph. So do you see it intersects at 2 places? So if you want to find the intersection, if in doubt, go to calc, option 5, and then hit 3 enters. 1, 2, 3. And the calculator will find one of the points for you. So when x is negative 3, y is 5. So now I want to find that one on the left. So if in doubt, go to calc, option number 5, and then 3 enters. Right there. 1, 2, oh, I forgot. Hold on, I forgot to tell it where to go. Hold on, let me start over. If in doubt, go to calc. Option number 5. It was just going to find that same one. I have to tell the calculator, hey, I want you to find this one on the left. So hit the left key. Watch what happens to my cursor. Do you see the cursor just gets closer to the one I want it to find? And then when it's close to it, just hit 3 enters. 1, 2, 3. And there's my other x. Okay? So when you do these, I just want you to know, just to give you a heads up, there'll be 2 answers, 2 x values for this problem, and there's just 1 x value for the solution for this problem. All right, so give these a try. The rest of this, my math lab, or this oh wow, you don't really need the calculator features for. So give it a try and ask me questions on Monday. All right, we'll see you then.